Kelsi, just how does it feel to get your first one under the belt, especially considering your team had to show some fight to come back and win that one?
I'm just extremely proud of my team because, teams in that situation, especially a new team, everything's new, a new staff, new team, new everything. They could have easily rolled over and they didn't. I'm extremely proud of their grit and their fight, but that just shows the culture and the things that we're doing and the way that we're going to play for 40 minutes no matter what. And I think that showed up today. But it also showed them that they're capable of going on runs, getting stops, and definitely making a comeback.
Talaya said you got on them pretty good in the timeout. Do you remember just like what the vibe was in that huddle, kind of the message to the team?
I was mad. So I know that was the message was I did get all over them. And I know that they're better than that. I know that they can finish layups. I know that they can settle down and they can execute. When I do get probably the most mad is when they don't listen and execute, because we've prepared them for those moments. And if they will just do what they're told, they have a really good chance to be successful. And then we prep them with all of those moments. I'm sure if you asked a lot of my players, they'd say my practices are extremely hard. And that's why, for those moments right there when you got to dig a little deeper and you got to fight a little harder.
It felt like whenever Harmony made that three-pointer, it just maybe an exhale in the arena. How did you feel like her ability to step in as a freshman and kind of get that scoring going contributed to what was to come?
I think that was huge for us. She hit a big shot, and she missed some threes. But the one thing I love is Bonnie missed some shots to start, but they're going to keep coming back for more. Those are two true freshmen playing at a really high level. And new to a brand new program that is in the SEC. And so for them to come out and continue to battle, to continue to fight, and continue to take the shot, that's what I love, because you got to continue to shoot the ball or it's not ever going to go in.
Don't have the numbers right in front of you, but it felt like the end of every single quarter, y'all just closed quarters strong. What do you think that says about your team, maybe as the legs are getting a little bit more tired toward the end of a quarter?
I think the thing is they're willing and able to push. The one thing is we had a preseason. They've had to run a lot of sprints, and it's for these moments because we have to get better in the third and the fourth quarter. We can't get tired and we can't get winded. We have to be able to each quarter get a little bit better, so we finish extremely strong, especially in the end when you got to close something out.
Just for you personally, your first official game as the Arkansas coach, just what's your day been like? What was the excitement like? And then just to get the win, just how exciting is that for you?
It's extremely exciting. My family's here. My husband, my kids, and my parents are here. That means a lot. My dad's battling cancer right now. He's got chemo in 2 days, and they made the trip over here to watch my first game coaching the Arkansas Razorback. So that means a lot. They haven't missed too much in my life, and for them to be able to be here and to witness that, especially with what my dad's battling with, it means the world to me.
Yeah, and then just coming out of the game in the first quarter, starting slow, I guess just what do you feel like contributed to that, and then what was the biggest way that you guys, I guess, adjusted things and got that turned around?
I think we changed how we were covering some of those on balls initially. I thought the one thing we kind of played it a little soft in the beginning, and I like to be a little bit more aggressive, so I thought we ramped things up defensively. And then I think, just making a couple of those shots, finishing with some contact kind of gave us that little like, okay, we're fine, we can score, and we just had to start with a couple of big stops, and I think that translated into some good offense.
And then you had 7 turnovers in the first quarter, then just 9 the rest of the game. I guess just what was the biggest thing that you guys changed in terms of ball security and keeping possession?
A handful of them were offensive charges. So we had to make sure that we were, jump stopping early and trying to avoid that initial contact to where we could distribute the basketball and not always score off the first attack. So a lot of those turnovers tonight, if you go back, I would say almost half of them were offensive charges, and that's something we've got to make sure I love the fact that we're aggressive, but we have to adjust to how the game is being called, and we have to do that quicker.
Ashlyn finishing with 11 rebounds for y'all, and you win the battle on the boards by 14. I mean, just how crucial was that in terms of making that comeback? And because in the first half, it felt like they were getting, or first quarter, they were getting a lot of rebounds.
She did a great job. I thought she came in and she guarded well. It started with the way she was guarding those on balls and really helping us in that hedge action, and then being able to get back in there and get rebounds. She also did a really good job offensively of getting some post ups when we needed, getting a couple of pick and roll actions, but really just just staying in there tight and being able to help us get some second chance points as well. But defensively, she did a great job of blocking out and owning the paint.
And then 26 points off turnovers. I mean, is that something maybe you thought could happen before the game in scouting? Did you notice it maybe early in the first half that there was an avenue to get live ball turnovers and get out and run?
I think that that's something that my team can always be good at, especially when we kind of get more aggressive defensively, being in the hard hedge or trapping some certain situations, but just being more aggressive defensively and turning those points, turning those turnovers into points for us. I think that's something that this team could be really good at because we are scrappy.
One freshman, one senior up here that just spoke with us, and they both talked about they're excited to try and turn this program around, to be a part of that. How comforting is that as a coach that they not only have the bigger picture in mind, already game one?
I think it's important. I think it just goes to show that we are really truly laying a positive foundation, and our culture is really good, and these kids want to be here. They want to represent the University of Arkansas at a very high level, and they're working really hard day in and day out to do that. And the fact that you have a freshman that's excited about laying that foundation and wants to be here and be a part of a build, and then you have a senior that was willing to transfer and wants to be here with me in the beginning stages of a build is impressive. And it's, like you said, it's comforting and it's rewarding because I think it's a testament to the fact that we're doing it the right way.
I guess with Talea, she was in here earlier saying that she wasn't much of a rebounder before this year, and she led your team tonight with rebounds, I guess. Was that something that you talked to her with in the offseason, or something she took upon herself to, become more of a rebounding threat as a guard?
I think that that's one thing that we've kind of been hounding the last, I would say the last month. We've really taken, being better rebounders as a whole. And she, anytime we take something to practice and we make a point of it, she's going to take it to heart and she's going to do her best to execute that to the best of her ability. She wants to please me and she wants to do a really good job of executing. And I think that when we brought that to the team and we said we have to be better rebounders because there's going to be nights we're going to be a little outmatched and we're going to be a little outsized, and we're not going to be the team that's going to make excuses.
And then, once you got that lead, maybe in the middle parts of the fourth quarter, you went to probably the biggest lineup that you have. Was the thought process there maybe just to limit possessions and make sure defensive rebounding was shored up, or maybe walk me through the thought process there?
I thought it was a good opportunity for us to own the boards right there, and I thought we could get some defensive stops with a little bit bigger lineup. I think that there's going to be games when we have to go to a little bit bigger lineup, and we're still trying to figure out who plays well together, and we want to make sure we have the right defensive combinations in. That's going to be huge for us in order for us to execute and be successful. I thought it was a good move on our part at that moment. And then as the game goes on, you got to make adjustments. But I thought they did a very good job of securing those rebounds and still being able to finish on the other end of the floor.
Coach, you guys shot at 42% from three. It felt like the ball was flying everywhere. What'd you like about kind of the team's ability to find the open guy and shot selection as well?
I thought once we settled down, that was huge because we were taking some rush shots, trying to force things early when all we had to do is get it shifted from side to side, because that's the great thing about this offense is when you can get 4, 5, 6 players scoring in double digits, it becomes really hard to guard. And the fact that we're not going to do the same thing all the time. And once I got him settled down and was like, hey, listen, there's multiple ways to enter the offense. You don't have to do the same thing. Mix it up. Do what we do. We've worked on multiple ways to enter the basketball, to get us going. And then the fact that I thought that there were a few times early we would catch it and we would try to, instead of ripping and going and creating space, we were trying to make a move instead of just doing what we do, and that's attack the rim and then share the basketball. We got the best shots ever then.
And last question for me, you talked a little bit about the fan base already. Friday coming up, the elementary school day. How exciting is it to show kind of some young Arkansas fans and young Arkansas kids what this team's going to be all about this year?
hopefully we'll get some more fans because a lot of times when you get kids in the building, they'll bring their parents, their grandparents, and their friends back. So hopefully we put on a good show for that. But I also think that my players have to understand, some of these kids, this might be the only time they ever get to watch an Arkansas basketball game. And so my players need to take heed to that and understand that it's a big deal that all of these young children are coming to watch them play, and they need to show up and show out for 40 minutes. They owe it to those young people that look up to them.
Last one, Anthony.
No pressure. Obviously, Louisiana Tech had some good returning production from last season. Is there any benefit to playing against a team that has a year of experience playing together under its belt, or is that me looking too much into it? Just
I mean, I think in order for us to grow, we have to play tough teams because when you get to the SEC, there's not going to be an easy game. Everyone's really, really good. So I think having a game like this out the gate and allowing us to know that we could come back from a deficit, that we could settle in, they're very well coached, and they have a veteran team. And like you said, they've been playing together. They've got a lot of returners back. They've got a lot of scoring back. They've got a lot of weapons back. And for us to be able to weather that storm, I'm extremely proud of my team.